What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and this video, I want to talk about some new details about Phantom Blade Zero. So this is making the round. It originally came, I think, from two separate Chinese interviews that have been translated, kind of filtered in, right? So, hey, there could be things lost in translation, but they seem relatively straightforward, right? You got the length of time it takes to beat this game. You got seemingly like a boss rush mode, similar, we've seen that with Stellar Blade and stuff. So let's go over the details. And again, just keep in mind, maybe some things could be mistranslated. We've seen that before with like Final Fantasy. Things seem to go out of whack sometimes. But okay, number one, it's going to have 4 different difficulty modes: easy, then the middle 2, and then extremely hard. I don't know if we actually know what those middle 2 are, but there's going to be 4 difficulty modes. The boss fights are actually going to be at least in 2 phases, but forgetting that even for a second, you basically spawn at those phases. So if you beat the first phase, you're in phase 2, and you die, you'll restart, but you'll only have to do that phase 2 again. You won't have to do phase 1. Now, I just want to stop right really quickly there, just because, we talked about this in a few days ago, actually, in a video on my channel where, this is not, they said, this is not a Souls-like game. Obviously, I think it's going to take some stuff from the FromSofts of the world, Stellar Blade, Black Myth, a couple other stuff, but, I do think it needs to have its own identity. I think it will have its own identity, and something like this should just solidify, like, okay, is this going to be like the hardest game of all time, or is it even trying to kind of replicate that stuff? And the answer is probably not, right? Like, if you're trying to do that, you probably don't have that feature built in where it's like, oh, we'll give it to you, right? You make it through phase 1, you're in phase 2, you don't have to do phase 1 again. A lot of these games would not actually let you do that, right? So that is initially, even just from a difficulty kind of perspective, something that I think sets this game apart. They talk about in terms of duration, how long the game is going to be. The base game, or the main game, I guess we can say, 20 to 30 hours, but then 20 additional hours of side content. So pretty big game. I truly hope this is not like a 27, 28. I know there's been rumors that it's actually going to come out like late next year, which I very much hope is true, by the way, but that's a very rock solid, like meaty, if you don't want to spend 30, 40, 50 hours in, you don't have to, but it seems like you can, right? And that's kind of the max to it. And then again, they talk about kind of this boss rush mode, and basically you can, as a separate thing, you can go into it and you could even fight the previously defeated bosses, right? Bosses you already beat, but there's actually secret hidden bosses that you can only do in that mode. So I don't know if they'll have like a thing where it's like, okay, you already beat these 2 bosses, but beat them again back to back, and then maybe you unlock like a hidden third boss that you're not going to face, in the main game, main story, or even side stuff. It's only in that mode. So as we've seen, and I talked about this before, like we've seen with Black Myth, even like Crimson Desert and stuff, something that they show off quite early and often with these type of games are boss fights. And that puppeteer, kind of boss fight that they did for Phantom Blade Zero looks freaking awesome. So if all the bosses have that level of detail, which I do come to expect, with games like this, it's something that you kind of do expect, that's very exciting, right? Just to kind of have these hidden bosses that you hope are going to probably push you in terms of difficulty, but also maybe are just going to be really, really cool, right? And kind of being hidden off. I also saw this part. There are 30 main weapons and more than 20 secondary weapons. There is only one of each weapon, regardless of quality, and no need to brush. Now, I don't know what the need to brush means, but I can look at numbers and look at those first 2, and they sound very, very cool. And even this top point here, players have 2 status bars: life days and buff layers. Again, these are things that maybe get lost in translation, but whatever. Each death will reduce 1 day of life and increase 1 layer of buff. These 2 will affect the ending of the game, and there are means to restore life days in the game. So, because you could probably look at this and say, okay, Alex, well, maybe it's going in like to too easy territory, right? Like game journalism mode, and you don't want that all the time, right? But, number one, again, I think it kind of gives it, originality or, uniqueness versus some of these other games. But that right there, that's a pretty, I don't know, I don't play too many of these games, so I don't know if it's ever been done before, but to have that kind of base where it's like, yeah, we'll restart you. You don't have to face phase 1, but every time you die, like you're hurting yourself inadvertently, and not in a way where you're going to suffer and the game's suddenly going to become terrible, but maybe you just get a different ending, right? Like if you die more than 10 times, you get one ending versus another. Like that's a cool kind of hidden thing that just maybe pushes you if you know it. If if you don't know it, maybe you find out after and you say, okay, well, now I need to replay the game and I need to die less than blank amount of times, right? So those are things that are just, I think, kind of, again, unique, something that just makes this game stand out a little bit. So continue to look forward to this game. We still have a long time to wait, I do believe, but I will be there when the game is ready to come out. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.